fans. This is Pete Toll, aka PT Sports 84. Just wanted to do something a little different today. Wanted to strike while the iron is hot, as they say. Mac McClung, as everybody saw, is the new 2023 NBA Slam Dunk champion. He ran away with the competition pretty much. I thought Trey Murphy, the third, put up a good competition, but KJ Martin, as we saw, was more of an in-game dunker, and Jericho Sims just shouldn't have really been in the competition, if we want to be honest. His dunks were all right, but nothing special. But Mac McClung was the winner. He is now on a two-way contract, obviously, with the Philadelphia 76ers. With that said, I wanted to do a little bit of a video of a player edit, just, kind of what I think might be some good edits for him based off of his G League play. For those that don't know who McClung is, he was recruited by Rutgers University, had committed there, decommitted, ended up at Georgetown under Patrick Ewing, recruiting him, and then did pretty well there. Ended up transferring to Texas Tech, went undrafted. After going undrafted, he ended up in the G League, ended up signing a 10-day contract with the Chicago Bulls after playing for the Windy City Bulls. Ended up on the South Bay Lakers after a training camp stint with the Lakers, Warriors, stuff like that. Ended up getting a call up to the Lakers and for a 10-day. And, looked pretty decent, showed some flashes, stuff like that. Like I said, in this past off season, he had went to training camp with the Warriors, ended up getting cut, decided to pass on overseas offers, and he ended up back in the G League. Meanwhile, I forgot to mention, he had won Rookie of the Year in the G League last year. And 2K has him in NBA 2K23 with a face scan, as you can see here. On the default roster, they have him as a 67 overall, as a shooting guard, which he's not a shooting guard. He does shoot quite a bit, but he is a point guard. He's only 6'2", 185 pounds. He's known more for three-point shooting and athletic dunks, kind of in transition, stuff like that. Not a huge posterizer of people in the G League, so to speak. Did that more in high school, a little bit in college, stuff like that, but still known for those acrobatic dunks. That's why he obviously got in the dunk contest. But what I wanted to do is, the video came out. Ronnie 2K, of course, had to be at All-Star Weekend. Posted, Mac McClung's trying to get his rating up, even though it looked like in the video kind of Mac McClung really didn't know who he was. I think that's kind of common for some of the lesser-known NBA players, don't really know Ronnie. For those that don't know, Ronnie is not the ratings guy. He's just there for promotion from the marketing side of things to try to build hype. But 2K has Mac McClung, like I said, at a 67 overall as a shooting guard. So what I wanted to do is go through and edit him, ratings, tendencies, badges, and signatures. I'm going to preface this with, this is just my opinion on edits. This is not the, end-all, be-all, but just wanted to try something new. So let's jump into it. So we got Mac McClung. First things first, what I did is I changed his position to point guard, secondary shooting guard. Also, a lot of players you'll notice says qualifies for world team. I checked the box. It was previously yes. I changed it to no. Went ahead and edited that. Got his play types edited a little bit. I'm not really sure about the isolation because he doesn't isolate a ton. So actually what I may do is just take that off and do the ball handler and three-point. Leave it as this. I can always add the isolation back in later. Just try to be as realistic as I can. Make sure play initiator's on because he does, like I said, play the point guard spot. He's more of a microwave scorer, can get hot in a hurry kind of player. But got him edited there. Now let's jump into the attributes and kind of go off of, I'm going off of this season, 18 games with the Delaware Bluecoats. I'm kind of factoring in last season because of only having the 18 games I kind of factored in a little bit of last season's play. Vastly improved his field goal percentage every year. He basically upped his field goal percentage from the floor basically 10%. He went from 47% to 57%. Shooting less threes this year, only 4.3 attempts versus 5 attempts last year. Getting to the free throw line a little less as well, but his playmaking is down a little bit too. But the reason for that is he's playing 26 minutes a game versus the 36 minutes a game he was playing last year. What he is this year is more of a all-around guy to kind of be that microwave guy coming in the game for Delaware. Those that don't know, Kobe Carl is the Delaware Bluecoats head coach. Obviously, George Karl is his father. Kobe played in the NBA briefly. Kobe likes to use McClung in the situations of when he needs a bucket. He can go to McClung, kind of get that instant offense. Now, McClung is not a defensive player at all. Getting better as a passer. Obviously, this year he has 4.7 assists to 1.7 turnovers compared to the 7.6 assists last year to the 3.1 turnovers. Overall, he's just looked better this year. Obviously, the stats don't pop off as much because of obviously having to handle more of a scoring load with South Bay last year versus Delaware this year. But he's more under control in the games. He's more efficient with his shooting, and that's translated over to 19 points this year compared to the 21.7 he had last year, but the efficiency is way up. Field goal attempts are down about 5 attempts, I should say, a game. But that's going to happen with the basically with the decrease in playing time. So, all right, so let's jump into it. These are kind of what I came up with stats wise. He does okay with the close shot. Doesn't shoot a ton of floaters. He can get floaters off, but he's not shooting as many as he did last year. But I did do a combination, like I said, of last year because he did win Rookie of the Year in the G League, and then I did this year. He shot more floaters last year, so I kind of accounted for that. Not much of a mid-range shooter. He'll pull up now and again, but mostly it's off of the three. Catch and shoot threes, can kind of take them off the dribble a little bit. Now, when I get to the badges, I'll explain something in a minute. He is shooting 84% from the line, shot 88 last year. I did just based off of this year. I didn't really combine those. Has a decent handle. Not an elite point guard by any means, but can bring the ball up enough that has a decent handle there. His pass IQ, he does have the 4.7 assists compared to the 7 assists last year. I left it in kind of a medium territory of 70. I thought that was a decent amount because he's not overpassing this year, but he's able to get passes off. Same with accuracy. Doesn't offensive rebound well pretty much at all. 0.5 rebounds this year compared to the 1.3 last year. I left it at 25. You could up it to 30. In fact, I'll up it to 30 just to give a little bit better rating there. Driving dunk. Now, I base this driving dunk at a 90 based on his transition dunks, things like that. Like I said, he's not posterizing G League players left and right by any means. But when he gets transition dunks, they are flashy dunks for sure. Shot IQ, 75. I'm actually going to bump that maybe to 80 based on his G League. He basically gets the ball and knows when to get his shot off. He will take shots contested as well. The pass vision, like I said, stays around 72. The 4.7 assists. You could bump it up to 74 if you want, but I left it at 72 just to be a little bit more conservative. The reason I'm so conservative with McClung's ratings is he is a G League player on a two-way contract. Obviously now an NBA player on a two-way contract, but majority of his time is going to be spent in the G League. If you know Doc Rivers, you know Doc Rivers is not going to play young guys no matter how much They look good. Take, for example, Paul Reed. He refuses to play Reed big minutes. We'll see what happens there. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in, by the way. I didn't want to interrupt talking just to individually say everybody's name for tuning in, but I appreciate everybody that is watching live. I'd rather do these live videos than wait for the upload because it takes like an hour for these uploads if I do it without doing it live, so I just do them live. I figured it's easier. His defensive rebounding, he averages only 2 rebounds a game, not getting as many as he did last year, but he did average 5 last year. So he's capable of rebounding. You could up it to 60 if you really wanted to based on the average of the 5 and the 2. I kept it conservative at 50 just because he's not going for as many as he did before. Perimeter defense, like I said, he's not much of a defender. Gets beat off the dribble a good bit. Steals, I put it at 55. I'm actually going to up that, put it at 60 because he's around 1 steal and he averaged 1.4 last year. I'll put it up a little bit higher just because he gets the passing lane steals just off of tips and stuff like that. If you're watching his videos based on the G League and stuff like that, or if you've watched the Blue Coats like I have throughout the season, that's where he gets them, mostly tip steals, passing lanes, things like that. So I'll put it at 60. Lateral quickness, he's not the quickest guy shuffling his feet, so I left it at 70. But his speed was way down, as a lot of guards are in 2K. So I upped his speed to an 80. I think that's a very fair compromise because he's not a super fast guard, but he's not super slow like 2K had him originally. So I think an 80 is conservative enough. His vertical, obviously he's jumping out of the gym with a 43-inch vertical. Got him at 95. If you really wanted to, you could bump him up to like a 99 if you really felt inclined, but I keep him conservative at 95. Strength, he's got capable strength to get inside and finish, so I put him at a 50. Didn't really touch the durability. I just kind of left those as it was. Like I said, the defense here is not really his strong suit, so that's why the rating's here. Offensive consistency, he has been consistent. I left him at 60 for the fact that now he's on the NBA team. I didn't want to overinflate him and put him at like a 74 overall when he's a G League player, because to me that's not realistic. I like to kind of stay within the realm of 68 to 71 for G League guys, unless they really pop off, and you can go a little higher, but I don't think McClung's going to pop off under Doc Rivers, to be honest. Intangibles, always for G League players, my personal preference is to keep him at 50, potential at 70. Until he shows capability as an NBA rotation player, I'm not going to up that potential. But that's the attributes there. Tendencies, I did adjust these. As you can see, shot in the basket, I bumped up. Shot close, I left for the floaters that he shot last year. I bumped it to 25. He does not shoot many mid-range shots unless they're kind of off the dribble at the end of the shot clock, things like that. So I kind of put it down to 5. You could bump it to 10 if you really wanted to. He's not spotting up from the mid-range. This is not the 90s. Same for off-screen mid-range. He's not getting his shots off-screen in the mid-range. It's usually off of threes, which now we go to the threes. I got him at 60 for the threes. Off-the-screen threes, I've got him at 30 because what happens with him off the screens is a lot of times off the screens, if you watch the tape, he's passing off of those threes. He's not really shooting them left and right off of threes. A lot of his are off the catch, so I put it at 50 there for him. Contested, he shoots a little bit contested from 3, so I left it at 25. I thought that was fair. Not really shooting contested mid-range, but I kept it at 10 just in case. Not much on step backs either. From 3, he's usually just a pull up and go. Transition, he shot a couple transition last year. Not as much this year. He's looking to play make more when he's coming up the court first. Drive pull-up threes, got those at 20 just to give him the value that he can get them off, but he's not overdoing it. Pull-up mid-range, if he is getting mid-range, it is off of that pull-up, so put it at 10. And he does do a lot of floaters off the glass last year. This year, like I said, not as much, but I bumped it to 15 to get that off the glass attribute there. Layups, got him at 75, but the dunks at 75 as well because he is able to get dunks off, like I said, in transition. Flashy dunks were at 0. I left it at 0 for the video because I wanted to show the example that 2K did not update their tendencies. They don't really know the players per se if they're not star players. That flashy dunk definitely needs to be at 75 to go along with the driving dunk for sure. Because when he does dunk, they are flashy. I don't really like to bump all the way up to 90 and stuff like that because then they're doing like all these crazy dunks on players in the game, and I don't think that's realistic. So if you're looking at it in transition, you could put them at like a 90 for flashy dunks. But as far as like over opponents and stuff like that, it's not really kind of where that is. But you could leave it. In fact, I'll leave it at a 90 just to put it there. If you start seeing in the game unrealistic dunks where he's dunking all over people like crazy, then you can bump it down. Alley-oops, 2K didn't have this either. I bumped it to 35 because he does get some alley-oops off of back screens. Got a couple more than he did last year than he did this year. You could put it at 25 to 35. I'll put it around 30 just to stay in the even range. Of he's not getting them too much, but he can get them if need be. As you can see here, 2K is not really paying attention to kind of any of these layup packages, anything like that. When he does get layups, he did actually last year, he did 2 360 layups in the season. He's crafty, switching hands, stuff like that, kind of spinning as he lays it up. I'll put that at 35. And leave it kind of as is for the rest of them. You can rate them as you want to. And then here, 2K didn't have his jab step up. I put it at 35, left his idle at 50 because he's not really over dribbling, crossing guys over, like stuff like that out of the triple threat. He's not shooting out of a triple threat a lot either. You could bump it to 10 if you really want to. 2K had it at that default 5. And then looking at the setup here, he's not a guy that really does setup dribbles and blows by you with quickness and stuff like that. Usually when he's going by guys, it's already with a full set of steam, and he is basically crafty enough to finish inside after that. You could adjust these as you want to. I left them kind of as is. I mean, you could put them at like 10 if you really wanted to with the size up and hesitation. In fact, I'll leave it at 10 just to give him a little bit of something. But it has 60 drive just because he is driving to the basket, finishing. He has 11.7 attempts. His three-point attempts are only 4, so that basically gives him 4 attempts, from 3 versus the 11, almost close to 12 attempts there. So that's like 7.5 attempts that he's shooting inside, which means he's driving to the basket and stuff like that. Crossover dribble, spins, stuff like that. That's kind of however you want to set it. And then the key thing here is the attack strong on drive. When he does drive, he is looking to finish on layups and crafty finishes. His dish to open man is his pass out. Being that he dropped down in assists this year, I did 60-40 split. The flashy passing is also what he does a good bit. But he turns it over when he tries to throw it like across his body or in tight windows. So I went a little conservative there because if you're watching the tape, he means well when he's driving and passing in a crowd, but he just doesn't quite have that feathery touch to bump him up a little higher. 2K had his post-up ratings kind of all over the place, which was weird. They had like back down, post-up, back down, and stuff like that. We know they're not paying attention to the tendencies across the board, especially when it comes to the lower tier players. So I didn't expect those to be edited, but I did edit those. I always keep guards at 10 for shoot from post, just because when you have the AI, if you don't have this bumped up, the AI will just stand there the entire time and not do anything, and it looks weird in the game. I took down his fade post stuff, but I did do post drive, and then it needs to be hop step. There is the other one. I just did those just to have something to get off whenever he's shooting inside. Mostly what it'll be is he drives inside. If he gets stuck with the shot clock based on a defender, then he'll put up a layup based on those tendencies from the post. His shot, I put it at 60. Touches, I put it at 55 because of the NBA two-way thing. He'd be a lot higher, obviously, if he was just based on his G League play only. But I tried to make sure if he does get in a game in the NBA, he's not overpowering the rest of the players, like with 75 touches and stuff like that. Roll versus pop is self-explanatory. 0 means he doesn't roll to the basket. Transition spot up, I've got at 30 because he's mostly the point guard. And then gets that. They didn't have any isolation stuff for him, so I added in just minor isolation stuff as, like I said, he's not an isolation guy, but he can isolate. Did more last year than he does this year, but just wanted to give him a little something there. And then knock down the play discipline because he does go off of plays quite a bit and freelances a little bit. So bump that down from 99 to 85 to replicate that. Defense, they had up pretty high. They had his fouls at 99, hard foul at like 15, block shots at like 45, contested shot at like 40. I knocked all these down because he's not a defender, and I wanted to replicate not being that strong of a defender, and just based on that. So that's kind of what I went with edits for the tendencies. For the signatures, I made a little bit of a change here with his jump shot. I will go ahead and say I am not good with signatures. So if somebody has suggestions out there for signatures, preferably Shady Mike, if you're watching this one and you want to work on McClung's jump shot, please go for it, man. If you don't know Shady Mike Gaming, to me, he's one of the better signature guys as far as jump shots and stuff goes. So it would be pretty cool to see Mac McClung edited correctly there. But I did fix his dunk package a little bit, try to get a little bit more athletic dunks. Because basically what they had is basic one-handers off 1, and I think basic one-handers off 2, and that's all they had as far as the dunks and stuff like that. So, that's just kind of where they had his dunk stuff. Didn't really expect a lot for that. Didn't really mess with the rest of the signatures overall because, like I said, I'm not that big of a signatures guy. I don't really dive into the signatures and stuff like that as much as some other guys in the community do, but just wanted to kind of get a base edit overall for them. So, all right, let's jump in last but not least. Badges. I did not go crazy on the badges because he is a two-way guy. If you know 2K, you know a lot of star players are missing some key badges. Then basically, you can't rate a two-way guy if some NBA, key NBA rotation guys have 0 badges. You can't put 15 badges on a two-way guy. That just wouldn't look right overall. So I went with Acrobat because when he does make layups, he's doing crafty layups and being able to finish those. Limitless takeoff, I put it on bronze just because I wanted him to be able to dunk from further out, especially with transition. Outside scoring, I put catch and shoot because a lot of his threes, like I said, are catch and shoot. Comeback kid, I put that on because if you've watched his G League games, especially early in the season and then especially last year, a lot of his numbers came in that fourth quarter when the team needs a bucket. They went ahead and did that. Or he, was able to do that. So went conservative, like I said. You could put Green Machine on. You could put Claymore on. You could put Agent 3 if you really wanted to, Amped. Like I said, I didn't go crazy with them. Now, as far as the playmaking badges, this is where I left it up to you guys. You could do special delivery. You could do mismatch expert if you wanted. You could do bailout as far as some badges for playmaking, in my opinion. I left him off because, like I said, he's not a versatile playmaker like he was playmaking as much last year just because of the role he's in for Delaware. So no defensive badges because like I said, that's not his forte. And then he's not rebounding a ton either. Going from there. Derek, you're asking, could you come out with a list of what's driving and what's flashy dunks? Well, the driving dunks are basically whenever they drive into the lane and you're dunking, or it translates to transition. The flashy dunks are how acrobatic and exciting they look. Are they basic dunks where you just go up and just dunk it with one hand, or are you doing spectacular windmills, stuff like that? That's the flashy dunk part of it. So, and yes, McClung has flashy dunks. So, anyway, this was my edit of the 2023 NBA Slam Dunk Champion, McClung. I'm going to go ahead and export Max McClung to the actually, let me just go over that one. I did a base edit earlier, so let's do this one because I touched up some edits there, but you can get this on PS5 from 2K Share if you want it. I spelled his name wrong. Helps if I take my time. But yeah, so I wish I could say I see Doc Rivers playing Mac McClung minutes, but he doesn't even play Paul Reed, so I'm not overly optimistic moving forward. But I'm glad that Mac McClung got his moment with the slam dunk contest. So if you like this content and you want to see more content from me as far as roster stuff goes, not really doing edits like this regularly, but I do content whenever stuff's updated, roster updates, things like that. Please make sure you hit that subscribe button. Please like this video if you like the content as well. Just wanted to give a highlight to Mac McClung. For those that don't know, his name is actually Matthew McClung. Mac is his nickname. So appreciate everybody that tuned in. And hopefully we get a roster update this week. Looks like Kevin Love signed with the Miami Heat. And then we'll get some other stuff. Nate Darling's now on a two-way contract with the Clippers, so he'll have to be added. So I think a roster update should come tomorrow or Tuesday to get those two things in. Maybe we'll see some more transactions throughout the week. But until then, this has been Pete Toll, a.k.a. PT Sports 84. Hope everybody has a great week, and I'll talk to you next time.